All right. Well, as always with the Saint Romains, that was a lively discussion. Uh, so, um, Darrell, did you have something you wanted to ask or say? Or
Yeah, let's talk more about this lived experience because
that's exactly where I wanted to go. Yeah.
um, I think for the dominant culture to understand, I think you have to maybe revert back to a time when you were young and when your parents were talking and they didn't want the kids to know. There are a lot of things that happen. Either they ask you to move to another room or but a lot of times they would start spelling words in front of you, right? Because you couldn't spell yet and all of this. So, but you were still in the room. That's what black vernacular is we can speak to one another, be in the room with other people around us, and they don't know what is going on, but we know what is going on.
So that's the kind of coding
Yes.
that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, if you've created a system of coding that actually is successful, it doesn't seem to me how you can at all characterize that as uneducated. I mean, that's
Well,
just,
yeah.
Is uneducated because the dominant culture doesn't understand it.
right. Well, I mean, that's I think where we need to distinguish, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it can't be uneducated because it's a successful form of communication. It has achieved its end,
It's sophisticated.
and
It's yeah.
Mhm.
it's achieved it with a level of sophistication which has outsmarted uh, its target audience. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
in a sense. Um, so uh, so we've got three things going on here that I want to make sure we don't lose track of. One is the lived experience that we're talking about broadly, and that informs, it seems, these other two things in multiple ways. Um, you just talked about how the lived experience informs the linguistic coding of Black vernacular as speech idioms, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then, where we started the discussion with Darnell was how the lived experience informs the body, the repertoire of Black vernacular as an artistic expression or literary expression of that
Mhm.
lived experience. Am I right?
Right.
And that is a whole nother um, body of Black vernacular
Mhm.
apart from particular verbal idioms. Am I tracking correctly?
Yeah, you're tracking.
I think you just used a black vernacular when you said a whole nother. Yeah.
Well,
Haven't figured out what another is yet.
I'm
So.
working on earning my card. Um, so I'm wondering, I'm reluctant for this to go out on the web.
Okay.
I'm I will show my own vulnerability here. Um, I'm wondering if there is another element that informs this uh, spoken idiom. And I'm asking this totally out of ignorance.
Mhm.
But I know from my experience as a musician and a music student that, for example, Barbara Moore, who is a renowned voice teacher, African American or Black voice teacher at SMU, talks about the fact that the Black voice is actually physically constructed differently than the white voice, and it has to be, it functions differently. It has to be taught differently. It actually physically works differently than the white voice. And I'm wondering if some of that physiology comes into play, if that physiology is true, which I mean, I have no reason to doubt that Barbara doesn't know what she's talking about. Would that play into the way certain, um, like the dropping of the G on ing endings, or the shaping of a vowel of Lord into laud, kind of thing.
Okay. So I'm trying to do my best to shed some light on this.
You know about this?
Uh,
I'm exploring with Jeffrey. This is, but it would explain why the best voice. Let me stop. Anyway, go on.
J. Rosman Johnson writes about dialect, as we call it, in Negro spirituals. All right, he has an extensive section in his introduction to African American spirituals. He has a collection of books 1 and 2. And so book 1 obviously came out first, then book 2, and then there was a compiled edition of books 1 and 2 together. But in the introduction to book 1, he speaks about how this dialect came to be. And what he wanted the person to know is that he speaks about the struggle for an African to come over and live in the system of oppression. And one cannot communicate with his oppressor, nor, because think about it, if you're still coming over from Africa, so they brought people over from Africa for close to 200 years, and then the transatlantic slave trade ended, and then the U.S. slave trade took over from there, just in the continental U.S. That's why slaves built railroads, so they could be transported on railroads to make more money for the South. Anyway, backing up, he talks about the struggle it is for an African to try to understand and mimic English. And what you hear, what came out, was that lived experience of oppression and mimicry. And that's why, now that's all I can say. He writes extensively about it. He even gives some phonetic applications in that introduction of things you would see that he wrote out in the spirituals. And he wanted to save that because he thought the dialect was reflective of not just the person singing, but of the whole community and the whole community's struggle with oppression and resistance. Yeah. So he writes about that. I mean, I can tell people to go there. That's a good place to start. Frederick Douglass writes about it. W.E.B. Du Bois writes about that. So, but I don't know about the physiology. I mean, the same thing with, I have a lot of friends who are Filipino, and, they love karaoke, and they have a big instrument in their body. I'm trying to figure out where it comes from because they're, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think their voice is made differently from other people's as well, because when you look at them, they're not supposed to create a sound as huge as they do, but they do. Yeah.
How many dudes do they do?
They do.
All right. So now I'm interested in about, because I don't want to suggest that the Black vernacular is limited to or is grounded in the sort of speech idioms that we find in spirituals, changing vowel sounds or dropping endings or whatnot. What about like grammatical constructs, like you be chilling? Someone texted me the other day and their text said, "I be there soon." Now that's not proper English, right? So that's not the proper use of the verb to be, but it's clearly a speech idiom within a kind of vernacular. Maybe this isn't the best example, but
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking more dialect stuff still. Because I'm thinking about, I'm still sort of stuck on what you're talking about, our Filipino siblings who can sing like, out of, you know, they're not always.
they have stentorian voices.
They have stentorian voices, yes. But if we think about, if we were to go into a room of people and we all closed our eyes and just listened to people speak, we could tell you who the Northeasterners are. We can tell you who people from the Midwest, or maybe, you know, I don't know, Minnesota, you know.
Yeah.
We could tell you who the Southerners are. We could probably tell you who the Filipinos are. And we could tell you who some of the blacks are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there are ways, again, they're just dialects, right? So the way that sometimes the word ask is pronounced, or especially, just because it isn't said the same way I say it doesn't mean the person is uneducated. It's just their dialect. Like I was saying before about things that I say, the word that is spelled B-O-T-H. How do you say that?
Well, it depends on the context.
Right.
If I say just the word both, then that's both. But if I have that in the sentence like both of y'all, you know.
Both of y'all. Well, I say it and I put an L in it.
Both.
Both?
I've never, I mean, I don't really say it like that distinctly, but yes. And so I have to think both. Like I have to like physically change the way my mouth is shaped.
Because she's just talking, she says both.
I say both. And so, you know,
Darrell's processing.
I don't know where I learned it. I just know that my whole life this is the way it's been. I don't even know that my mom or my dad or anybody else said it this way. It's just
Didn't
the way.
you grow up in Texas?
No, I grew up in California. I have no excuse.
You grew up in California.
I did, right? So, so I just think that they're just dialects, and we have no problem accepting a Southern dialect or a Northeastern dialect or a Midwestern dialect.
So
without placing an articulateness on it.
So like,
well, yeah, except the Southerners have been discriminated against for their dialect. And I'll tell you a story. The first time I stepped foot in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and I'm checking into the hotel, and the lady behind the counter said a sentence to me. To this day, I still do not understand what she said. Okay. And I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, ma'am. Could you say that again? I didn't understand." That's what I said. And she laughed, and she tried again, and we were able to communicate. But that first sentence, I don't know. And you know, and I even made what I want to say, conjectures in my mind when I heard, "Hi, my name is Shelly." Right. And there's no exaggeration. This is how they talked in Alabama. But doesn't mean that they were uneducated. But, you know, a whole group of people, especially in the South, were discriminated against, you know, and they weren't black. So it happens.
Right. But because we are using a dominant culture's norm, as the litmus test.
Yeah.
Which
I don't know how we're going to change that.
Which gets translated from dominant to proper, right?
Right. Not, yeah.
It's not dominant, it's proper.
So it's proper English.
What is proper English? So I think this is a good point about the regionalisms. So, because if I hear what you're saying is, so if I'm talking to a Minnesotan and they ask me to put the bag of rigs in the wagon,
right?
They've just used a long closed E sound where the rest of us would use an open A, right?
Right.
The bag of rags in the wagon. And normally to make that vowel a closed E, you would need to add a silent E, right? The big of
Yeah.
rigs in the wig, and we can't even, right? So in a sense, they would need to change the spelling in proper English in order to get that vowel sound. But we don't accuse them of mispronouncing it or of misunderstanding the spelling of it. We just accept that as a pronunciation
Because they're from Minnesota.
from that
Mm-mm.
dialect. So what you're saying
Not
is
because they're from Minnesota, Heather.
Right.
What?
I know.
Okay. No, so what I think you're saying is if someone says, I need to ask you a specific question.
Oh, that was another one. I didn't do that one. That was a good one.
Pacific. Oh yeah, PAC.
Right. I need to ask you I need to ask you a specific question, that we should not look at that as they don't know the word. They don't know how to spell the
It's just
word.
their dialect.
That's a dialect.
And you know what they're saying, so just answer the question.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Answer the specific
The
question?
specific question.
Okay.
It's especially important.
Especially.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I just think we should just stop. I mean, okay, sorry.
But I ran into this problem with a member of my community the other day because I typed out a document. I spelled acknowledgement with an E in the middle. And she told me that wasn't proper. Except it is proper in British, the proper British spelling. Now, do you think that if I go over to England and I spell color without a U, that they think I'm using proper English?
No.
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 No. Mm-mm.
I'm using American English.
American.
Yeah, but there's a whole nother level of
Here we go.
what do I want to say, for lack of a better term, inferiority, superiority that exists there. On a side note, I got a new cell phone, and
Congratulations.
the spell check for apologize spells it with an S.
Oh, it's a
What?
British phone.
Yes, I was like, although it's a South Korean phone maker, Samsung, I was like, how did this happen? And I have not corrected it, so I just keep typing it that way because I kind of like it.
Well,
Tom
how
Brokaw.
often are you apologizing on your phone?
Wait, what?
How often are you apologizing on your phone?
I say a lot of things I shouldn't say.
Do you say I apologize more than you say I'm sorry?
I say I apologize when I really don't want to do that again. I say I'm sorry when I know I'm going to mess that up again.
You make the distinction.
I make a distinction.
But how does the reader know?
I don't know.
No.
Wait,
Wait, what happened?
Not his problem.
I might ask, how does a brother know?
That's what he's trying to figure out. He's like, all right, so how do I differentiate? This is a different topic that I would love to talk about sometime.
Brothers?
I'm sorry versus I apologize versus some other.
I repent?
Yeah, we can talk about repentance.
But
Sorry, we digress. So
No, I would tell your listeners to, in order to understand the Black vernacular, just get an African American anthology and start reading, and you'll see the progression of the vernacular because it's going to be laid out chronologically.
Interesting.
that's
well,
cool.
at least Norton's is.
Yeah, Norton's. Yeah.
Well, I think that the key is not looking at it as inferior to our lived experience.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I really love what we talked about with the lived experience. And, in this book, in the chapter we're reading for Tuesday, he talks about the Black vernacular.
Right. This is.
It was really
Yeah,
good.
we have Ibram's book. Yeah.
I know we're reading this because you recommended it to us. This is our fall book study at St. Stephen. You can still join us. If you'd like to, Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m.
We're only on
Ooh,
chapter
that's late.
5, I think.
Yeah, we're only on chapter 5, and they're short chapters.
Well,
I like the way that book is written because it follows his lived experience.
Right.
Which is different than some of the other lived experiences either we've talked with people about or we read about.
But I think this is one of the key things that he makes in his very distinct terminology, right? Use of terminology. That something is racist if it establishes a hierarchical value, right? As long as it doesn't establish that hierarchical value of elevating one group or culture and degrading, or making inferior another group or culture, then it's not racist, right? I mean, this
is a huge distinction from the academic term or the academic definition of racism, because the academy says even if a person of color espouses those views, they cannot be a racist.
Right.
Oh, and he clearly
is very, I mean,
he's very clear that he has engaged himself in racist behavior.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about one other thing besides dialect. So coming out of pandemic and going back to work, right? Normally, you even on this broadcast, probably check it. You've always seen me in a button-down shirt. I'm just not gonna wear a polo or a t-shirt. That's just not me. And I wear button-down shirts for a reason because I just feel like they give me more room. I'm a big dude.
Except for an LSU polo. I've seen you in those.
Yeah. Did I wear one on the broadcast?
No, but probably
not
at
on
Hymn
that.
Society or somewhere. I know.
Oh yeah. You know, so you have a persona. But I had to seriously talk at my job about coming out of pandemic and going back to work and the appropriateness of athleisure wear in the office. So,
Yoga pants.
huh?
Yoga pants.
No, I don't do that. I don't need you to see all of my flab, you know. But a jogging suit or what have you.
You mean because other people were coming in a jogging suit?
No one else but me.
Oh, you came in a jogging suit.
Yeah, and it needs to understand that right now, and where we were in the pandemic, this was going to be appropriate attire. Right now, I say that to say this because Kenya Burris writes for ABC. He wrote. He's the background. I mean, he is the writer for Blackish and other programs, and he only wears athleisure wear, and we're talking about Gucci $2,000 jogging suits and stuff of this nature, right? And so you can have. I didn't want the connotation to be made that I was dressing black to work. I was just dressing comfortably.
You were in a pandemic dress, yeah.
Yeah, pandemic dress because we all had pandemic bodies, right? So
that's what you said had.
Because I'm trying not to keep it.
I'm sorry, Darrell. That was just too much.
Are you saying that there was a presumption that you were dressing black, or
no? I made the presumption all by myself. I wanted to be at the front of it.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And, I try not to walk down the street wearing a hoodie.
A hoodie, right? I was going to say the hoodie.
So just like running back to grab your wallet to get out in front of what might or might not happen.
Exactly. But they don't ever, that would never cross their mind. It's just like this. But once it's brought to their attention, they're like, oh, okay, no, we're fine. Because honestly, everything is by appointment only. And so I know when I need to be dressed appropriately in the office, because it's not like it used to be. Obviously, no one's walking in and out of your church office all willy-nilly like it was before the pandemic.
My problem is 3/4 of my congregation have keys to the building. So there's no privacy. I mean, someone can pop in,
or privacy if we're going
or
with
privacy,
proper English.
right? If we're going with proper,
Yeah, you just need to post your schedule, okay?
Schedule.
yeah.
Posted immediately.
Well,
I'm sorry. What were you gonna say?
I said posted immediately.
immediately.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll get right on top of that.
It's been a great conversation.
Yeah, but before we close, and just as Kendi says in his book, the vernacular changes with the lived experience. That changes with geography.
Mm.
Okay, can you unpack that for our listeners?
Well, the lived experience in New Orleans is not the same as is Los Angeles or in Baltimore or in Atlanta or New York or Chicago or Detroit.
Right.
Thus, the vernacular will be slightly different.
So, are you saying all Black people aren't the same?
That's
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
what
we're
I'm
not
saying.
monolithic. I
Okay,
know.
well, we're gonna have to go back to the beginning and start all
We
over.
probably are. This is something that should have been said at 59 minutes ago. You know.
What?
Or maybe 590 years ago.
And back to my statement about factory reset in America is white. I was having a conversation with a person, and I had mentioned that we had watched something by Wanda Sykes. Okay. And this person didn't know who Wanda Sykes was. And I said, well, I didn't expect you to know who she was. And the person said, well, why would you say that? I said, because you're the dominant culture. The person said, what do you think? I can't name 10 black comedians? And I said, I know you can't. And she started with Eddie Murphy and Chris Rock. And that's where she ended, Chris Rock. She couldn't. I said, but I bet you I can name 10 white comedians because I have to know that culture in order to participate in water cooler conversations, just because of the space that I'm in, So it's just something that's, like the air we breathe, right? So there's a scene in Selena, right? Edward James Olmos, who plays Selena's father, is talking to Jennifer Lopez, who plays Selena, and he said, we have to know who Oprah is, and we have to know who Christina is, right? So Christina was a Tejano talk show host on Univision back in the day. And so he understood what it was to enter into the white culture. Jeffrey, talk to Susie Bird about coming to America and understanding what it was to enter into the dominant culture when she was assumed to be part of the dominant, but was not. Right? She has a story there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's just the way it is. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sitting here trying to think of 8 more black comedians.
Come on,
Well, let's
Richard
see.
Pryor, Bill Cosby.
Bill Cosby.
Red Fox.
Who?
Red Fox.
Oh, Red Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Cedric the Entertainer, Steve Harvey, Bernie Mac, right? Our boy Peel.
Who's the guy on Saturday Night Live? Tracy Morgan.
Tracy Morgan, and who used to be on Comedy Central.
Trevor Noah?
No,
he's on the
I said Trevor Noah. Noah loves Trevor Noah and
no, that did the 8 minutes and 46 seconds after
Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle.
No.
Now Americans really should know him. I mean, he won the Mark Twain Prize. So
the white man prize? What?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
He's funny.
Wait,
He is funny.
you left off one of the most important ones.
Who?
Darnell St. Romain.
Oh, I am not up there. I don't think I could do a stand-up show. I don't think so.
Wait, well, you should have said that 59 minutes ago.
Oh my goodness.
We got more laughs in the first half than I think we've ever gotten in any of these.
Really?
Lots of LOLs and ha-ha-has.
Well, I think it's because we know Jeffrey. I mean, we've seen Jeffrey grow from a wee lad, you know.
Okay.
Oh,
Wow.
That one's going to come back to haunt me. Well, as always, it's been not just a pleasure, but a real joy. So,
next time you guys need to be in matching shirts though, like us.
yeah.
Okay, we'll try.
We're in our Sunday best matching.
Yeah.
Right?
Are y'all still on the clock? Do you have something this after this?
They have the evening prayer, night prayer.
Yeah, night.
Yeah,
Conference
conference.
night, but that's not till 9.
But this is dropping on Tuesday, so it's
Yeah, that's true.
okay. We need to sign off, friends.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining us for our backstage portion of Face to Face with Racism, Black Vernacular as Uneducated, with two of our favorite guests and good friends, Darrell and Darnell St. Romain. As we like to say, be gentle with yourself, but don't take the foot off the gas. And we will look forward to seeing you next week for our next episode. Peace.